Hello everyone and welcome to this session at IBM TechU, a session about how to set up a backup as a service based on IBM Spectrum Protect and IBM Spectrum Protect Plus. My name is Thomas Bach and I'm CEO of Auwau. We are a technology partner for IBM. That means we are providing a technology, a software solution named Cloutility to the IBM product portfolio. The company name Auwau, it means automation and always with a wow effect in mind. And to be honest, I love automation. Automation frees up time for perhaps more creative processes, and for me also frees up time to go running, skiing or biking, some of the fun stuff really. For the backup administrator, it could free up time from some of the more trivial, though important tasks of course, and perhaps give the administrator time for more strategic work. So let's get started. First, we will have a look at some of the highly important challenges in a backup as a service concept. And these challenges are really what this session is evolving around. So first of all, multi-tenancy. You will definitely have to find a way to solve multi-tenancy, and that is being able to segregate business units, departments, customers, and still being able to consolidate backups from these business units or tenants into a shared infrastructure. Next, of course, you need to provide your customers, your departments, end users, all the tenants with reporting that gives them information every day on a daily basis with their consumption, daily alerts, etc. Chargeback or showback is an important feature in an as-a-service setup. Of course, you need to have visibility into the consumption of each of your tenants. You need this information to be able to provide the individual departments and customers with information about their consumption, and you need this output for your finance department to do the actual billing of your setup. For service providers based on a channel partner setup, it is of course crucial to be able to provide your channel partners with self-service capabilities so that they can actually provide your services to their end customers. In some cases, the backup infrastructure is spread across multiple locations and multiple geographical areas, and in this case, a single pane of glass application is important for the administrators to have a full overview of the total solution. When allowing end users access to self-service in a setup like this, it is crucial to have an audit log that logs all committing actions, and this is of course to be able to prove and document who did what at a certain time, at a certain point in time. Finally, on my list is integration with other applications. Whatever solution you choose, if you develop a solution yourself or if you buy into a plug-and-play application to run your setup, it is important for you to consider being able to integrate with your existing applications in your organization. So my take today on how to solve the challenges listed on my previous slide is the Auwau Cloutility solution. So Auwau Cloutility is in the Ready for IBM Storage program. It's a proven and validated solution. Cloutility has part numbers in IBM Passport Advantage and is sold by IBM and IBM partners across the world. Cloutility was initially built for managed service providers. So today it is used by managed service providers across the globe. These managed service providers comes in many flavors, you know, the traditional hosting providers, cloud service providers, telcos, any type of managed service providers who is providing public and hybrid cloud solutions to their end customers. On the other side, Cloutility is used by enterprises. So enterprises transitioning IT departments into as-a-service departments, providing private and hybrid cloud solutions to their internal organization. So the backbone of Cloutility is a flexible and very secure multi-tenant model. And multi-tenancy really allows you to segregate your business units, allow customers on each business unit access to self-service controlled by privileges so that users have access to exactly the tasks that they need to do in their daily work. So, this is what the setup could look like for an MSP. On the top level, we have one or more data centers, in this case 3 data centers, and these data centers are of course with IBM Spectrum Protect and Spectrum Protect Plus inside, and then a single installation of Cloutility. And now the modeling, the hierarchical modeling of the organization can start. So on the left-hand side, we have internal systems. Internal systems has 2 children, critical systems and other systems. And for each of these groups, we have several server groups. In the middle tenant, direct business, the service provider has divided this business into on-prem clients. These are probably large enterprises, and on the other side, cloud clients, perhaps small mid-sized companies. And for each of these groups of clients, we now have the customers added. Normally, in real life, this could go much deeper than this. For each customer, we may have like multiple departments with multiple server groups. The multi-tenant model in Cloutility really goes as wide as needed and as deep as needed. On the right-hand side, we have a channel business setup. So Cloutility really makes it possible to manage a channel business setup. In this case, we have 2 groups of business partners. One is business partners, the other one is premium partners. For each of these groups, the MSP has created his partners. And now the MSP would provide each of his partners with user logins where the partners can actually log in and manage their clients themselves. So the next slide here shows what the model could look like for the enterprise business. It is really the same tool, the same multi-tenant model that are being used to model the enterprise organization. The difference really is a matter of naming convention for the tenants. So in this case, for the enterprise, we could typically see naming conventions used like critical systems, other systems. Perhaps the enterprise is delivering their services to external departments with regions across the world and departmental naming conventions for their organization. If you have a strategy that you believe in, a strategy for growth, you really need enterprise class solutions under the hood to make sure that that growth and that success doesn't become your worst enemy. Standardization and automation of as many tasks as possible is crucial in a successful setup. Auwau Cloutility is built for IBM Spectrum Protect and IBM Spectrum Protect Plus enterprise class data protection really. IBM data protection will give you, first of all, scalability. IBM Spectrum Protect and Plus is a really scalable and robust solution that will be protecting 10,000s of backup clients and petabytes of data. IBM Data Protection will protect any type of data that you may find in your organization, at your end customers or your departments. No matter what types of data, what applications that users are using, then IBM Data Protection will have a solution to protect the data. Finally, IBM Data Protection is secure. And in a multi-tenant setup with multiple users spread across multiple locations, multiple departments, multiple customers, it is really important to have security features that will secure the whole setup. IBM provides this. Cloutility takes care of the business part of your backup as a service setup. It supports and standardizes and automates really a feature set tightly connected to the line of business. It includes the very flexible and secure multi-tenant model that segregates your customers and departments. It frees up resources within your IT department. And finally, it gives users on all levels access to self-service controlled by privileges, a role-based user interface. Let's now have a look at the user administration that comes with Cloutility. In Cloutility, You add and define the roles that you need. This could be an administrator role, a finance, a sales, an end customer or end departmental user role, which could be view only. And now you start adding users to each relevant business unit with the role that they need. Your users you will add on the specific business unit that they belong to. So you add the user, you give the user a role, and now the user can log in on his specific tenant and now view only this tenant and descendants. There will be no access for this user to look anything above him. Cloutility supports both single sign-on, and this is via SAML 2.0, meaning that you can integrate with, for instance, ADFS, Google Apps, or any other identity provider. And it supports two-factor authentication through time-based one-time passwords provided by, for instance, a mobile application. So Cloutility provides branding capabilities for each business unit. And this means that a service provider can actually create a channel business setup where all the channel partners will be shown with their own logo, with their own colors, with their own contact details. Now, in this case, the overall branded solution is IBM. That would be the default brand when adding new business units, new tenants. But on the right-hand side, in this example, we have the business partner setup where the branding is really the branding of the resellers. So every time these resellers would add new descendants, these descendants would be in the reseller name and brand, so that clients would only see their preferred IT partner when logging in. The ability to tag items in Cloutility makes the multi-tenant model even more flexible. You can create any tags you need. That could be like VIP, attention tags, high priority tags, low priority tags. And now you can tag or mark all of your backups or business units. After having tagged your items, you can use the built-in search engine in Cloutility to actually find items with special tags. You can also filter your reporting with tagged items, or you can even exclude items from reporting by excluding certain tags from reports. Cloutility comes with a number of set it and forget it reports. This means that on your top level, you kind of make your default settings. What should be included in reports? What do you define as alarms and alerts in your report? And now these settings will be inherited to the descendant business units. Unless, of course, on one tenant there are some special requirements where they need to differ from your default settings. Then, of course, you can make business unit specific settings, and they will now, from this business unit, be inherited to that business unit's descendants. A variety of reports are available. For example, you have the daily status report, which will contain an overview of how much data is consumed and how many backups does this report contain. And now you will find a list of all the backups within the report, and with coloring and alerts you will easily be able to find the specific nodes that needs the daily attention. You can, of course, filter this report to make sure that you are looking at only certain alerts. You can also actually go in on each of the backups and make comments for future reference, so that if an error happens again, then you can actually see back in time, what did we do last time this error occurred. You would also find like trending reports that will show over time how well has a backup node performed. And of course there are charts built in to Cloutility, so that you can see like trending charts that shows the development of data over time, the data growth over time, or the number of backups in the solution over time. Cloutility comes with a really flexible billing engine. First of all, you create your subscriptions. Subscription is really like a pricing metrics where you define your prices per gigabyte, your prices per bundle of gigabyte, price per backup node, price for transferred gigabytes. I mean, a really flexible engine where you can define prices on most things that you can even imagine in a backup setup. So once you have the subscriptions defined, you create for each of your customers or each of your departments, because this could also be showback. Rather than having prices on subscriptions, these prices could actually be the cost of running backups. For each of your customers and each of your departments, you can now create a contract. And in the contract, you activate the subscription that matches the price of your service for this specific customer or the cost for your department. And now Cloutility every month will create a billing output. This output comes in CSV or JSON format, or can of course be retrieved through the API. Most of our clients actually use the API to pull the billing data directly from Cloutility and inserting it into their existing billing engine. This existing billing engine will now create the actual invoices, and through the API, these invoices can now be sent back to Cloutility, where Cloutility automatically will send the invoices out to the customers by email. Customers will also be able to find their historical invoices within Cloutility. A really flexible pricing engine that will make sure that you can invoice 10,000s of billing lines within seconds. Besides chargeback, Cloutility has a number of different workflows built in, and the data-deletion workflow is one of the extremely important workflows. So many things can go wrong when an end user needs to delete some data within the backup storage. So in Cloutility, the whole workflow is built in like this. First of all, you have users that can request the deletion of data. So they can request the deletion of file spaces or a backup node or a virtual machine. And with this request, they request a certain date for the deletion. And also they make a comment on why this data should be deleted. After that, other users of the organization, and that could be users on the same tenant or users on a higher level, would have to approve or, of course, deny the deletion. Once the deletion is approved, the data will be marked as data that will be deleted. And on the day of deletion, the data will be removed from Cloutility, and depending on settings in Cloutility, the data could automatically or manually be deleted from Spectrum Protect. And the data deletion could be a full or complete delete, or it could be a decommissioning to make sure that the retention of the data is retained. The last thing that happens is, of course, that the whole workflow is documented. So next time the administrator is asked for a certain node that was actually deleted, he can do a search for the node, and now rather than finding the actual node or the backup, he will actually find a report stating that, okay, this data was deleted at a certain date because it was requested deleted, it was approved deleted. So for documentation, there will be a report, of course, covering the whole deletion process. Cloutility comes with an extensive REST API, which is installed together with Cloutility during the installation process. It is nicely documented, and it is open for customers to use for integration with any external applications. As already mentioned, this could be billing data being pulled via the REST API to insert into existing billing applications. It could be daily alerts that are being pulled into an existing support system. It could be audit logs being pulled from the system into an audit log system. I mean, any usage. We even have clients which are using the API to activate customers, to activate backups from their own portals. And this leads me to the final topic of today, the installation process of Cloutility. And let's start with some of the prerequisites. I mean, if you guys want to know more about the installation process, we do have a thorough administrator's manual which talks a lot about installation prerequisites and the whole installation process. But let's go through the minimum steps here in this presentation. So first of all, you would need, though this is not part of Cloutility, but you will need an IBM Spectrum Protect and Spectrum Protect Plus infrastructure. Then secondly, you will need a It could be a virtual or physical Windows machine for the Cloutility host machine, and we do support version Windows Server 2008 and newer. Then you would need, or at least need, access to a Microsoft SQL Server. Version covered is 2008 Service Pack 2 and newer. And this could be the Enterprise, the Standard, or the Express editions. And finally, you will need an outgoing email SMTP server that will be used for sending out emails from the Cloutility system. From there, let's go and have a look at the actual installation process. So the first step in the installation process is downloading the software installer to the Cloutility host machine. So you download the installer and you do a next installation. During the installation process, you will have to connect to your MS SQL server, and the database on the SQL server will actually be automatically created during the installation process. Then the next thing, you are going to log into Cloutility, and now you can create your hierarchical multi-tenant model with your tenants, like your departments or your customers, whatever your setup is. After that, you connect one or more Spectrum Protect servers or Spectrum Protect Plus servers to Cloutility, and after this connection, you will see a list of all the items, all the backup nodes or virtual machines or Microsoft 365 tenants that you have on your backup servers, and you can now start assigning these items to the business units in your hierarchical multi-tenant model. You would now configure your report settings so that you have like your default settings configured, and finally you create the roles for your users, and you can start adding users to the different tenants with the right roles. The total time of the installation process is very often less than 2 hours. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you very much all for listening in. I do hope that you got some takeaways from this presentation, and please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be happy to discuss the challenges that you are facing, that you may be facing in your particular setup, and any questions you may have, we'll be happy to get into a dialogue with you. Thank you.